what is the lens through which you look at your life? I suppose you can answer that question in probably 100 different ways, but let me give you an example. Some people look at their life and make their decisions in life based on which option gives them the least amount of pain. They try to avoid pain at all costs, and that's the lens through which they look at their life. Pain is to be avoided at all costs. Now, this has some ramifications for people's lives. It leads to numbing of pain because pain does exist for everybody. And so people have to deal with pain in some way, and so that they choose to numb it with alcohol or drugs or other vices. They avoid pain at all costs. Now, if you went on the internet right now and you typed in something like that, that your lens through which you look at life is avoiding pain, you'll find a bunch of articles out there, secular articles, that will tell you that avoiding pain and using that as a lens for your life leads to a miserable existence. In fact, it will also say that suffering can produce some good things in your life. And that if we don't know suffering, if we don't know pain, then we won't truly know happiness or joy, because we wouldn't have experienced the opposite. Now those are purely secular resources. The Bible has something to say about pain and suffering as well, because the Bible is realistic. The Bible is the word for our life and recognizes and gives many examples of people that suffered. In fact, Jesus says that we will suffer for following him, that we will have a cross to bear for following him, that it's not always going to be sunshine and roses for Christians, but that there is suffering that will exist in this world and pain. And so looking at life through the lens of avoiding pain is unrealistic and therefore leads to unhealthy things. Paul has a better way to deal with pain and to think about pain. In Romans chapter 5, he talks about how we have been justified by Christ. That means we've been declared not guilty before God. He has opened heaven to us, and this is the greatest thing to ever happen to us. The sole focus through which we look at our life is that God has won this for me. That gives me peace beyond all comprehension. It gives me hope, a sure hope. It gives me true joy. And those things have been accomplished for me, and everything else in life is somewhat minuscule compared to that. The biggest thing has been taken care of. But Paul goes on and says that this is important too. Your pain and your suffering, it's important. It probably feels like a big deal to you right now, and it is. Because God is doing things for you in your life when he brings pain into your life, when he allows you to go through pain and suffering. Listen to Paul's words. Not only so, but we also glory in our sufferings, because we know that suffering produces perseverance, character, and character, hope. And hope does not put us to shame, because God's love has been poured out into our hearts through the Holy Spirit who has been given to us. Perseverance, character, and hope. Suffering and pain can produce that in us in this life, because often what suffering and pain does to us is it strips away everything else and helps us to focus on what is most important, and that is staying close to God and his word. That's looking forward to the eternal goal of heaven. These things are things that we focus on more and more when we are suffering, when we are in pain. And because those are the things we focus on God's love being poured out to us in our hearts by the Holy Spirit, we grow closer to him. And even through this suffering and through this pain, God produces in us perseverance, character, and true hope. We don't want to avoid pain at all costs. We don't want to seek out pain as if it's something that is meritorious for us. But we want to be realistic. We want to have a biblical view of suffering and pain. We want to take pain and suffering as they come and trust in our God and stay close to our God, who has promised us that he will be with us through everything and that he will one day take us to heaven to be with him.